You know, the nice thing about Flack Lake is the only time it gets pressure for the lake trout is in the summer months, which is really nice. And I'm hoping that a lot of the people release the lake trout that they get. But you can see in the background, that building is Laurentian Lodge. So we're actually fishing right across from the lodge.
Let's go fishing. People, when you're in the mood, let's go fishing. Well, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. Grab your hat, get your pole. Let's go fishing. When you're in the mood.
Canadian Sport Fishing is brought to you by Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Yamaha Outboards, reliability starts here. Sail, the outdoors superstore. Fisher Girl, catch the passion.
Try to get it close. Hopefully it won't thrash off. We got to keep trolling because we have the other line in. Actually, I can see it on the surface. Pretty fish. The limit is actually 2 lake trout here in Flack Lake, but we're not keeping any of the fish. I understand that you can keep one under 15 inches and one over 15 inches. Okay? So there's a nice native barb. Look how beautiful this looks. Native Ontario lake trout.
Oh, wow.
See it?
Awesome.
And good. He's out of the hook. I should have the glove bar, but okay, so there's a nice little lake trout. You could pan fry it, but you know what? We're gonna let it go. And I need to get it back in the water because they're so used to cold water. Okay, so you're gonna go back in the water. There it goes, right itself and gone. That was quick, Barb.
That was fast.
10 minutes. Now the spoon that I got that fish on is not very large, and it's probably the size of the bait fish that the lake trout are feeding on. So you can see it right here. You can see that it's about 2.5 inches long, and it's got an actual print of a fish's side on the side. So it's like a copper color on one side. On the front it's nickel with that nice color pattern on it. And it worked really well. I'm gonna get it back in the water. Can you believe that they actually call this cowbells? Kind of sounds like a cowbell, eh? What this is a gang troll or a Christmas tree. And the whole idea is that you put this in line when you're trolling deep in 100 or 200 feet of water, anywhere from 30 to 70 feet down. And then at the tag end of this, you would put a leader on, anywhere from about 5 to 10 feet, and then one of these spoons, like the ones I'm holding up here. You can see that all of them have one thing in common. They're quite thin. You can cast them, but you can't cast them as far as some heavier spoons. And they're really designed to follow the steel line when you're fishing for lake trout. So they're more of a fluttering spoon. So if you're fishing deep water for lake trout, I mean, you can be fishing for salmon in the Great Lakes, but especially when you come up north and you're dealing with a large bay where the waters may be 100 to 250 feet deep, and you're trying to track the lake trout, even a small eating-sized lake trout, using a gang troll like this, followed by a spoon behind it, will catch your fish. This is kind of neat, eh, Barb? In the middle of the day,
in the middle of the day,
getting these lake trout to hit.
Yep.
I mean, we had 3 on in about 20 minutes, which for like 3 o'clock is really good fishing. in about 95, 100 feet of water. You know, it's nice to have a 4-stroke Yamaha, this 115, because you control slow or you can go fast. This boat will do about 50 miles an hour, but you can also fish for walleye with it. And if we want to troll real slow, we just use the electric. You know, in the old days, they'd use lead core line or stainless steel line with these really short rods. It's kind of nice that we have these Rapala RSC reels. They have the counters on them, so we know exactly how much line to let out. I've been letting out about 200 feet of line. With the 45-pound copper, we're getting down about 40 feet, which is perfect. Because a lot of the lake trout, yep, keep cranking. Rod down a little bit, Barb. Crank, crank, crank. Yep. A lot of these lake trout are feeding on suspended bait fish.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, on top. Bring it in.
Yep.
Keep going. No loose line. So I hope the boat's going to go straight when I jump back on the net. Okay. A little closer. Good one, Barb. Okay, I gotta get, here, you hold the net.
Okay.
Teamwork. Okay. Can you gently get the hook out, Barb, and then
Sure.
we're going to release it?
Okay,
Good job, Barb.
thanks.
It's about 1.5 pounds again. It's not a monster, but you know, they're fun to catch.
Yeah.
And if we wanted a fresh lake trout dinner, we take it back and have it tonight, but we're going to be releasing it. Spoons out?
Yeah, spoon
Okay, you
is
know
out.
what, Barb?
Yes.
If you grab the motor, I'm going to just show the viewers real quick and kind of drop it in the water. Come here. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Slippery, eh?
There's a nice little lake trout. Right here from Laurentian Lodge, we're about 2.5, 3 hours from Sault Ste. Marie. It's going to go right back in the water.
Xmark, you find fish, catch of the day.
Lance, it's amazing to me. You build an app, you put it up on the stores, and worldwide, bam, you have fishermen all over the place sending you pictures. You're in Dubai, you used our app. Tell me all about your catch.
We had been fishing at the beach in Dubai for almost 2 hours. We didn't get any strikes, but then suddenly we got a good strike. We thought it would be a cuttlefish or something, but it turned out to be a really big kingfish. That fish had a lot of stamina. It burned my forearms completely. I was really tired. Finally, we got it to shore. We basically took a lot of pictures. It was one of the biggest fishes in my life. I wanted to post these pictures online, so I found this You Find Fish app. So I tried it, and it is very informative. You could put your own snaps. You could put information on that area, what bait you use, etc. It's pretty good. I like this app. I've used it a lot in these days.
Hi, my name is Autumn Danaher, and I'm an employee here at the beautiful Laurentian Lodge. Laurentian Lodge is situated 2.5 hours from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and it is located on Flack Lake. As you can see behind me, there's a beautiful waterfall which leads into Nichols Lake and also follows along the Bowell River. At Laurentian Lodge, we have a large motel unit which accommodates over 100 people, as well as 7 cottages. You can come here for plenty of activities, enjoy the beautiful hiking trails, see some wildlife, take in the beautiful scenery, and don't forget to bring your fishing rod.
You know, when you're using these sinking lines, whether it's lead core or the stainless or copper, you feel the fight, but there's so much line that you got to reel in. Usually it's 100 or 200 feet of line. And hoping that I don't have the lines caught up here, because I see the other one bouncing. Trying to keep this lake trout below the surface. That might have been a hit. No, it's not tangled up. Gorgeous lake trout. I don't know if it's going to stay on because they thrash a lot when you get them close to the boat.
Can we get the net?
Yeah, I've got it, Barb. It's almost like you need 3 people. Look at nice lake trout. You know, I remember when I was younger, this is what we would ice fish for in the winter time. So again, I'm going to try to hold it up for you real quick because you can see I don't even have to take the hook out. They throw the hook. So there's a nice lake trout again. They're all about the same size. So it's a very healthy fishery. Just gonna let it go. There it goes.
Fisher girl! Catch the passion!
Okay guys, so this is really neat right here. I've got a slip bobber, which allows the line to go right through the bobber. And it just goes up and down on the line like that. Up at the top here is called a bobber stop, which stops the bobber from going any further. And it's very easy just to move up so that it can go deeper, and you can move it down so that it goes shallower.
A slip bobber rig is ideal if you're planning on fishing a float in deeper water where the distance from the float set to the hook is longer than your fishing rod. Because when you reel in your line, the bobber stop goes right onto your reel and doesn't interfere with the casting, and your float is very close to the tip and the rig. So that means you can cast very easily. The other advantage is that when you do get a bite with a slip bobber, when you set the hook, the line goes through the float. So you're not dragging the float on the surface when you're trying to set the hook into the fish. So you get a really good hook set. So it's an excellent rig to use.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Naden Boats, Canada's finest aluminum boats.
If you're fishing clear water lakes that have lake trout and smallmouth bass, it's very important that the line that connects to your lure is as invisible as possible. What I like to do is to use the Suffix fluorocarbon leader material. Now I have to caution you because a lot of people ask me, is fluorocarbon fluorocarbon? Not necessarily. There's castable fluorocarbon, which is designed to be used as a main line, and there's also fluorocarbon leader. So fluorocarbon leader is much stiffer, so you wouldn't be able to cast with it. So it works really well, especially when you're making a presentation where the fish have a chance to look at the lure that you've got and the line that's behind it. Now, for those of you that may not be familiar with these, this is the spin shot hook. You can see that the hook is literally placed on a swivel with an eye above and an eye below. It's designed to be rigged on your line with the hook facing up and the line going through it, so that if you're using bait that swims around or your line twists, there's no way that it's going to twist. But when a fish hits it, it's going to grab the hook. If you like to use a drop shot rig, the spin shot hooks will really increase your catch. Here's one. Barb, I tried changing to that Trigger X leech.
And?
Yeah, right off the bat, I got one.
Good going.
You know, the leech looks so lifelike on the drop shot rig. You can see that Trigger X leech. It's about 3 inches long, and I'm telling you, it looks so real. It's got so much flex in it, you can see if I just wiggle it a little bit. So it's perfect fish on that spin shot hook in that drop shot rig. So again, a small guy, but I'm going to be releasing him and keep fishing this break. That was my first cast with the leech. You know, this lake is very cold and rock bottom, but I got a feeling there's still leeches in it, and the water's clear, so we're not using very large baits. The largest bait is about 4 inches. So I'm just going to keep working this break. Tell you what, it's getting a little challenging with the breeze. You got to appreciate the scenery though. Look, this beautiful high ridges that you see. There's so many lakes when you come up here to Sault Ste. Marie. The St. Mary's River is a wonderful body of water, and there's lots of walleye fishing. The Atlantic salmon are in now, but here at Laurentian Lodge, it's awesome because you can get lake trout and these beautiful smallmouth bass from the crystal clear water. These outfits that I have in my hand are so heavy, you could actually use them as weights to do exercises. It's not so much that the rod and reel are heavy, but it's the line that's inside. They're filled with 45-pound test copper line, all three of them. The reason they've got copper line on there is because copper sinks fairly quickly. This line, for every 30 feet of line that you let out, goes down about 9 feet. So if you want to get down to about 50 feet, you need to put out about 100 or 250 feet of line. And what we've done is, attached to the line is a fluorocarbon leader. And this line is about 15-pound test, and it's about 50 feet long. The reason we do that, the water is very clear here. You can probably see down 30, 40 feet. So we don't want the copper line to spook the fish. That's why we have the long fluorocarbon leader. And then at the end of the leader, we have a Lucky Strike spoon. Now, the rod and reel that I have in my right hand here is a trolling outfit. You can see it has roller guides, and it also is equipped with the Hydrus reel. Notice the line counter on the left up there. Very, very important. I'm just going to put this down because it weighs a lot. Okay, so that's one outfit. These other two outfits are the Rapala RSC series. Okay, so you can see they're black. They're not all metal like the other reel. Very important counter, so you know how much line you have out, and you know that way how deep the line goes. Now, these reels are matched with trolling rods. The one that I put down was a 2-piece. These are 1-piece. They're fairly stiff, so you wouldn't want to use these for casting. So these outfits are ideal if you're targeting fish that are deeper down in the water column. They could be trout and salmon in the Great Lakes. You could be coastal fishing, even on the coast. With this line, you can get down to about 50, 60 feet, which is a really good depth to find feeding fish. And of course, when you come up north, lake trout like cold water, and in the summertime, they go deep. So you can either bounce the bottom in 50, 60 feet of water, or fish for them suspended in any depth of water down 50, 60 feet. So if you have a good sinking line, like the copper here, with the proper reel that has a counter and a trolling rod and a handful of spoons, you can catch a bunch of fish. Oh, crank, crank, crank. Keep the pressure on it. You're doing great. That fish, we're in 102 feet, Barb, when it hit. Keep cranking. Do you feel it?
Yeah.
Crank, crank, crank. It's amazing, eh? All afternoon, Barb, we're getting these fish.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be 2 people, minimum, when you're trolling like this. If you have a tiller handle boat, it's one thing. But when you have a console like this with the steering wheel, one person has to be on the steering wheel. We're okay this afternoon because we've got really nice conditions. And right now we're going with the wind. So when Barb gets this fish on top and gets it closer, I'll actually put it in neutral for me to go back and get the net and get it in the net. So the fish can't really fight that much because we're trolling. It's much like being out on a charter on the Great Lakes, but it's a lot of fun. Usually when you get them in the last 50 to 80 feet, they start thrashing, and that's sometimes when they get off. So you can have a choice. You can keep it below the surface, Barb, or try to get it on top. I would keep it below the surface, because if it gets on top and it head shakes, it could throw the hook.
Okay.
So when you get close to the fluorocarbon leader, I'd put the rod down while you reel, so that it's kind of forcing the fish below the surface. Because the higher up you hold it, the more it's going to pull it on top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that last 50 feet when they really start thrashing. Okay, Barb, I'm going to put it in neutral. You keep reeling, okay?
Yeah.
You reeling?
Yeah.
Good. I'm watching the other rod too, just in case. Okay, perfect. You know, you got to appreciate it, even though these things aren't big, because they're wild, there's a special meaning about them. You know, we have to keep the fish out of the water for a split second, but we are trying to release them as quickly as we can. Another little lake trout, and I'm just going to drop it down. There it goes. And perfect. Barb, see if you can get the hook out, and I'll just keep trolling. Go back to the deep water. We're in 57 feet. We actually might get a hit because that spoon is fluttering down. A lot of times with lake trout, when you make a turn, and if you're using 2 lines, one of the lines drop and the spoon flutters a little bit, that's actually when you get a lake trout to hit, because they'll follow a spoon for a long time. Okay, Barb, if you want to grab the steering, we're going to go across. We're going to, on the drop off, and I'll let the line out again.
Okay.
You can see how gentle I'm being with this steel line. That's because when you've got several hundred feet of line out, you want to keep steady pressure. Never let the line go loose, because a lake trout, even though it has a pretty tough mouth, the hooks can fall out. So you always be really gentle. If you ever watch any of the footage of the old timers using the stainless steel line or the lead core, you'll see that they reel in really slow and smooth because they don't want to lose the fish, especially if they've got a few hundred feet of line out. So I'm just trying to be gentle. Sometimes they throw the hook if they haven't been hooked that well. Lake trout, though, normally hook themselves when you're trolling between 2 and 3 miles an hour, because they have to speed up, and just when they grab the spoon, especially if they get a couple of the hooks in their mouth from the treble, because you're moving at 2 to 3 miles an hour, that itself sets the hook. We have our drag set fairly tight, but not too tight that if we do hit a shoal, that we're going to have issues, you know, like the boat's going to come to a stop where we're going to lose our gear. So I still have about 80 feet or so to get to my leader. I'm keeping my eye on the other rod. Barb's keeping us in about 78, 80 feet of water. You know, we've had steady action, so what a nice combination. Getting smallmouth this morning, and between the smallmouth and the rock bass, we must have caught 50 to 100 fish. And of course, we lost the biggest smallmouth. And then to troll for a couple of hours and to get, you know, we've had 6 lake trout on. We've landed 4. So I don't know if we're gonna land this one. You can see it's starting to fight. Even though this is a pretty stiff rod, you can see I've got a little bit of action from the head shaking. Trying to keep that tip close to the water. It's probably another eating size fish. You can see the fish is on top. It is another eater. I'm just trying to very gently reel it. I'm not going to use the net this time. If it comes off beside the boat, that's fine, because I just want to show you what this fish looks like. Nice lake trout. Usually they start thrashing right about now. He's got 2 hooks in him. So I'm going to wet my hand. That fish is probably about, I'm guessing, 14 or 15 inches long. Just going to hold him gently to get the hooks out. And just 1 hook left in. If he stopped thrashing, I can get the other one out. There, okay? Nice little lake trout from about 70 feet of water. He's going to get his breath and then he's going to shoot right back down. Come on, 1 more, 1 more. It's quite an experience for it. Okay, so there's the spoon that I got that one on. You can see this flipper spoon has 3 colors, those black accent stripes, and then it's got these 2 little blades that even add more action when it's going through the water. I find this spoon works really well when you're long lining or fishing off the downriggers for fish like walleye, even off planer boards in Lake Erie, salmon and trout in the Great Lakes, and of course up north for trout. So it seems to be just the right size. It's about 4 inches long. It's got a medium-sized treble hook and a really nice action through the water.
Canadian Sport Fishing is brought to you by Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. Yamaha Outboards, reliability starts here. Sail, the outdoors superstore. Fisher Girl, catch the passion.
I personally don't like to put on sprays, especially some that have a lot of toxic substances in them. So I use something called the Insect Defend Patch, and this is it right here that I'm holding up. It's made from a B1 vitamin called thiamine. And the way you use this, you actually tear the package open, keep it sealed until you need to use it, and you apply it to yourself about 2 hours before you actually have to go outdoors or in an area where you think there's going to be a lot of insects. So you open the package, there's a swab that you use to take any of the oils that are on the surface of your skin. And one of the best places to apply the patch is between your spine and the big muscles that are on your shoulder. So somewhere on the back where it's out of the way. So you would take the swab, make sure that the body oils are off, and then you take the patch and you apply it to the back.